Being that it's Friday today, I want to talk to you about personal finance because every single time we get paid, we make decisions. It all comes down to a group of choices that we're going to make. And today, the reason I want to talk to you is because a few years back, I started this strategy called paying yourself first. Before you pay any of your bills, before you pay your rent, before you buy groceries, before you buy anything that you want, what I do is I take the first tenth of it and I put that aside into a high yield savings account. And this is ensuring that my future self has money, because before that I was just living paycheck to paycheck, and it was pretty awful, like being one of those people that has to collect on food stamps or has to, just go without because you just don't have the money to do it. You make up, excuses why you can't go somewhere, why you can't have that dinner, why you can't do anything, and it just makes you bitter over time, because it's not that you don't want to do these things, because you really, really do. It's just you can't afford it, so you're going to come up with excuses why you can't go. And it's never going to be like taking the responsibility of saying, I just kind of suck with money and I can't go with you people. I can't go to the movies. I can't go shopping. I can't go, out with friends because I just didn't have any money. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And the psychology of that was really, really, it was just dreadful, because every time like a bill came up, or any time, like, especially the rent, being the biggest bill was the rent. And when you can't afford to pay your rent, you usually have to leave. So being evicted and getting evicted from, apartments, having to go live in your car for a little while, that's not really like where I had thought that I'd see myself. And so, I'm going through life living paycheck to paycheck, and I read this headline that says something like 40% of Americans, or maybe it was like 60% of Americans, can't even afford $400 for an emergency. And that was dreadful to my heart, because I was one of them. I was one of those people that couldn't even afford a $400 emergency. That would put me out of the game. So I decided that life has to get better. And in order to make it better, I had to get better. And the way I did that was I started, just basically listening to YouTube videos about personal finance. I listened to this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that got me on the track, to change my mindset just a little bit, and to work towards a life of abundance instead of the scarcity mindset that I had adopted, the sense of entitlement that I had adopted, thinking that I somehow deserved food stamps or somehow deserved a good life without working really, really hard for it. And so the realization came to me that in order for my life to get better, I have to get better. So that's what I decided I was going to do. So I read, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That changed my mindset, but the most important sentence in that book to me was him suggesting another book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And the core principle of this book was pay yourself first. This book came out in like 1930s. It was by this guy George Clason, and he wrote it as like a parable, like storybook form, about the ancient tales of Babylon. But the core principle was pay yourself first. pay yourself before you pay your expenses. And when I heard that, I decided that I was going to try that on my life. That every single time I got a paycheck, I was going to pay myself first. And then I would handle my expenses with whatever was left. If I was in debt, I would give, because I was in debt. I was in debt to my family. I owed them a few $1,000s apiece, and I couldn't, readily see paying them back very easily because I was in the paycheck to paycheck mindset. When I changed over to paying myself first, it gave me a structured principle that I could easily follow. I was like, okay, so even if I got like, $500 for a paycheck, which a lot of people, are not unaware of what minimum wage is in this country, and that, your paycheck after like a week or two could be as little as like $400 or $500. That's not the point. The point was I was going to start paying myself before I paid anybody else. So what that required me to do was I bought a little safe. Okay, it was a little book safe, and I started cashing my paycheck. But I would calculate, okay, so I got $500. That means $50 is mine to keep. And I'd go put it in this safe, and then I'd hide it from myself, and then I would live on the $450. And what I noticed is that my life didn't really change for quite some time, but I continued this habit because I was disciplined to do so, and I was committed to having a better life. So I decided that just every single time I get paid, I'm going to pay myself first. I'm going to put whatever that first part is. And I do 10% because that's what the book suggested. So I take 10%. So if I get $1,000 paycheck, I'm still taking $100 to this day. And I'm putting it in this high yield savings account now. It started out with a little book safe. And I needed to read this book, over and over and over. But being as intellectually challenged as I thought I was, I never really considered myself much of a reader. So I just started listening to it over and over on YouTube. It's like a 4-hour book. And if you don't got 4 hours to listen to a book, then what you're telling yourself is you don't have the time to make your life better. And I decided that my life was going to be better because I deserved it. And that was the biggest decision I ever made, was to just start to pay myself first. And everything else kind of fell into place after that. Once I started paying myself, I started, making money like just a game. It's just this game I play now where I'll get my paycheck. The first part is mine to keep because I worked for it. And then how to live on the other 90% without going into that first part, that 10% that was mine to keep. But the reason for this video is I'm not like trying to, sell an audio book. I'm not trying to, get money from you people. I'm not some financial guru by any means. I'm still a working, blue-blooded American. I work really hard for my paychecks. And, but every time I get it now, it feels more like a game to me because I don't ever skip the habit of moving that money over. And now I've even gotten to the point where, I automate it. So it automatically comes out. Every time I get paid, I've set it to automate to where it just automatically gets taken out of the checking account and put into this high yield savings account. And just over the years, I'm not trying to be terribly frugal by any means, but over the years it's made me question a lot of the things I was doing, like how much cannabis I was smoking, how much I was drinking, how much all of these things were costing me that weren't, directly making me money. It was a pretty incredible realization. So So the reason I'm telling you is because you need to do this. You need to do this no matter how little money you make. You need to pay yourself, because when you do, you've decided to make yourself a priority. And that is the point. The point is to make yourself the biggest priority in your life. And when you do that, your heart's not bitter anymore. You feel a lot lighter when you don't have to worry about what the price of everything is, because that's a constant mental gymnastic to constantly, go into rack your brain to think if you can afford something. I don't do that anymore. And I want that for you, because you deserve that. You deserve that in your life. You deserve to sit at the table of nice things. You deserve everything that you want in life. And we're gonna go get this together. I mean, I'm still working a full-time job. I'm doing what I'm doing. I go to work, and I pay my bills, and I love my family more than life, and it's always all about family. And if you can make you a part of that family, you are a priority. So that's why I'm here today, is to tell you that you matter, and to pay yourself, because for all these years you've been working and working and working, and you haven't been paying yourself. So you're really frustrated, or you're disillusioned with the system, like shit. If it wasn't for the government, if it wasn't for these billionaires, if it wasn't for all these, no, you don't make those excuses anymore, because when you start paying yourself, you've told life, this belongs to me. And you rewire your brain. You rewire that brain so you're not constantly stressed out, so you're not constantly bummed out, so you're not constantly telling your children or your wife or anyone like that, no, I can't afford that, no, we can't have that. Or you get into, just minor, bullshit over money. I mean, and you don't need to be there. You don't need to fight over money, because it's just the stupidest, silliest thing. It's just a game. And money at its core, it's not even, backed by anything tangible except the idea that we all have that it's somehow valuable. So why do you spend your life, toiling for it, when you start to pay yourself and you build it up? You're gonna get that first $400, and you're gonna know that you just unlock the key to going from paycheck to paycheck to, now I can afford a $400 emergency. It only takes you like 4 months to save that money at $25 a paycheck. And don't tell me you don't got $25 a paycheck, because everyone has $25 that they can throw into a savings account every time they get paid. It doesn't have to be 10%. I like saving 10% because that's a good round number for me to figure out. So, if I get $1,000, I'm going to save $100, and I'm going to build that up. That's not very much. And you can do it. I know you can do it, because it's hard. It's really fucking hard, actually. It's really fucking hard to do this. But what's even harder is not doing it. It's even harder not to do it. It's so much harder not to do it. So, that's really all I want to tell you is prioritize you, prioritize yourself, make yourself a priority. Write it down as a goal that I pay myself first. And you just say that little mantra every time you get a paycheck. You say, a part of this is mine to keep, because I worked for it. And no one else can take that from you. If you made the decision that you're going to do it, then who the fuck is going to stop you? And the world is your oyster at that point, and being broke is not where I want to see my community, my people that are out there. You're struggling, and you come from a place of true hunger where you want a better life, and you just can't see it. You just can't see it yet. But